If the president during war decides to do something to protect the country, is it legal?
In general proposition, I'd say yes. You need to be more specific than that. I mean, but clearly, when you take the oath of office on January 20th of 2001, as we did, and you take the oath to support and defend and protect the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, there's no question about what your responsibilities are in that regard. And again, I think that there are bound to be debates and arguments from time to time, and wrestling back and forth about what kind of authority is appropriate in any specific circumstance. But I think that what we've done has been totally consistent with what the Constitution provides for.
All right, well, that was a bit of a Frost-Nixon moment there. Chris Wallace asked him, hey, during a time of war, can the president do anything? And he says, look, you'd have to be a little bit more clear on it, but overall, yes, the president can do anything. As he will explain in a little bit, he says, well, look, the president carries around a nuclear football, and he can blow up the whole world if he wants to. So if he can do that, he can change any laws too, is the implication by the nuclear football analogy. No, he can't. He has specific authority to carry around that nuclear football, but he does not have legal or constitutional authority to break laws that exist. He's not above the law. Dick Cheney does not believe in democracy. His form of government that he espouses is a strong executive that is unchecked in power. There's another word for that, dictatorship. Here he's going to talk about what powers the Congress have. I want you to concentrate before you watch this clip, because listen to what he says, because Wallace says, hey, give me any example of congressional power. And then listen to what Cheney says about that one example he comes up with. It's interesting. Here we go.
So what rights do the Congress, what constitutional rights do the Congress and the courts have to limit the power of the president when it comes to these matters of national security?
Well, the Congress clearly has the ability to write statutes and has certain constitutional authorities granted in the Constitution. But I would argue that they do not have the right by statute to alter a presidential constitutional power. In other words, you can't override his constitutional authorities and responsibilities.
So if they want to say he can't survey or he can't detain?
Well, they have, for example, said pass the War Powers Act. War Powers Act is still in force out there today. That requires him to grant certain notifications to the Congress and give them the authority to supersede those by vote if they want to when it comes to committing troops. No president has ever signed off on the proposition that the War Powers Act is constitutional. I would argue that it is in fact a violation of the Constitution, that it's an infringement on the president's authority as the commander-in-chief. It's never been resolved, but I think it's a very good example of a way in which Congress has tried to limit the president's authority and frankly, can't.
There it is. I think that's more telling than anything else that Dick Cheney said. He's saying Congress has no ability to limit the president at all. That's stunning. That's just saying, all right, well, we now have a dictator, and he cannot be limited by anything. Because we're not going to listen to the courts. We don't go to them for court orders anymore. We don't go to Congress. Chris Wallace asked him to come up with an example of what power Congress has. Cheney thinks about it, comes up with the War Powers Act, and then concludes, you see, the War Powers Act is also unconstitutional in Cheney's mind, and hence it does not serve to limit the president at all. So nothing limits the president. You heard it there right at the end. He said it frankly can't. Nothing can. And the second question there that he referenced that in regards to was when Wallace asked him, how about in surveillance or in detention, can Congress limit you in any way? And his conclusion was, no, they cannot. They cannot limit the president in any way. Well, that is not our system of government. Dick Cheney belongs in a different system of government. It is not a democracy. It is not a constitutional government. It is not a representative government. It's once you have a president, he can declare any kind of war he likes. It can last for as long as he likes, like this indefinite war against terrorism that lasts forever. And then he has absolute rights that cannot be checked by the courts or Congress. How can anyone actually believe that's the American system of government? Well, the one guy who believes that, which doesn't make any sense at all, was the guy who basically ran the country for 8 years. The re-election of George W. Bush and Dick Cheney was one of the most disgraceful moments in American history. Because you can say, hey, in 2000, we weren't quite sure. We didn't know that Dick Cheney had lost his mind. We weren't positive how stupid George W. Bush was. But in 2004, you should have known. You should have known. This man was absolutely a danger to this country, danger to our form of government, and a danger to the world. And in 2004, we re-elected him. Now, some will claim we didn't because of Ohio, et cetera, et cetera. The bottom line is they got back into power, and they shouldn't have been anywhere close to it. Now, I blame them for their actions. I blame the American people for how they voted. I also blame the Democrats for not being able to defeat a man who just doesn't believe in America at all. And ironically, his party is the one that accused the Democrats of being un-American. I mean, it is the height of irony. That's why I get so upset at the Democrats. They are absolutely grossly incompetent in how they have dealt with these guys. Now, here's the thing. Now, that leads perfectly into our next discussion, because Dick Cheney is here admitting that he has broken the laws. He's done it with impunity, doesn't give a damn. In an earlier interview, he said, yeah, we did waterboarding, and I got no problem with it. Waterboarding is torture and illegal by every single definition, every law we have. So in these outgoing interviews, it is a fascinating piece of history. Dick Cheney is rubbing his illegality in the face of the Democrats, incoming administration, and the American people. And he's saying to them, what are you going to do about it? Now, why is he doing that? Two reasons. One, enormous arrogance. Dick Cheney believes that he's untouchable. Look at what he says. He says, I'm untouchable. The presidency, and he believes that he's part of the presidency, of course, and he has secretly controlled the president for 8 years, almost 8 years. He thinks that they're above the law. So he's arrogant, and he thinks, well, we didn't need to do any preparations before we invaded Iraq, and he thinks that went splendidly. So his arrogance has overcome him, and it might come back to bite him at another time. But the second reason he does it, and this is the more important one, is because he wants to set a precedent. He wants people to be able to look back and say, maybe the next time a Republican's in office, but who knows? Maybe the next time a power-hungry Democrat's in office. In Cheney's mind, he thinks that Obama will do the same things they did. You know, the guy's a little touched, to say the least. But what he's doing here is important because he's setting a precedent so that people can go back and say, look, the Vice President Cheney, while leaving office, said that they broke all these laws and that they could break all these laws, that it was within their constitutional power, and no one ever did anything about it, so I guess Vice President Cheney was right. You see that? That's important. And he's, doing something smart again. We might really, really disagree with him, but it's smart. He says, look, in order to establish my way of thinking, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did, and no one will ever arrest me for it. Thereby proving that what I did was legal in the eyes of history. Now, we know it's not legal, but if nobody ever does anything about it, well, then I guess you can do it. It's almost the equivalent. Now, don't get too carried away by this analogy, okay? But just to make it clear, it's the equivalent of the vice president coming out and slicing somebody's throat on national TV and dropping them to the floor going, what are you going to do about it? Oh, you're not going to do anything about it, so from now on, vice presidents can obviously kill people on national TV and get away with it. Now, he didn't do it with a person, he did it with the Constitution. He just sliced it, he just took the Constitution and ripped it up with a pair of scissors, dropped it on the ground, and he said, what are you going to do about it? And right now, our current answer, the people of the United States, the Democratic Party, and the Republican Party, and everyone else, and the media to a large degree, is we're not going to do anything about it. You're right. You can break the law any way you like. And that is a terrible precedent, and exactly the precedent that Dick Cheney wanted to establish.